Hello, I'm Paul Stanley, and this is a code review of neighborhood maps. I made this as part of a Google Scholarship Challenge to Udacity. It was the final project, and let's have a look at it. It's basically a React app made with Create React app. I had to make sure that both the list and the map icons from Google Maps were joined together so that when you clicked on one side it reacted on the other, and vice versa. I did this. Let's get into the code. Did this here we go. I used bind the handlers onto the constructor on the main app component itself. This is where the component did mount, so I made the fetch request to Foursquare API, got the response, return the JSON, and set the state. Use the query handler in order to use set state in order to update the state with the query. And this is an interesting one. This is data file. This is basically a fetch return data file, JSON. I use this in development because React sometimes, if you're not careful, you can make a lot of API calls. So I use this to whilst developing it. And it's almost still here. Anyhow, let's get back on. So I bound them to the constructor. So that did that. Changing the state. And defaults, no, they won't be here. They'll be in the return. Here we go. And here we have a RSX. And this is props being passed down to the different components. They're actually all contained in logical statements, and to display two different lots depending on whether I was making the actual API call or getting the data from the other source. And this is interesting. An auth failure. This was murderous, and it ended up very hard problem. It took me a long time, and I did a lot of research and ended up finding out a lot of interesting things which had nothing to do with solving this problem. And the problem is basically solved in the constructor, where I just bound it to the window. So these few lines of code here and down there, these 4 lines of code, took a hell of a lot of time, and I learned a lot in trying to solve that particular problem. Let's go on to the map. Now we're bringing in the Google Maps React, which is quite restricted, really. They're pretty much out of the box, easy to use, but it is